Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Tyra here with DIY Space. In this video we will be doing an upgrade to our Unraid NAS box. Now NAS meaning network attached storage. Now if you've seen our previous video, you'd have seen where we actually set up this NAS box using free parts that we picked around from people that were tossing out computers. So it's basically a collection of a bunch of free parts. And I want to say a big shout out to AY Media for hooking us up with this new to us case, motherboard and processor. So now we can be able to get rid of our AMD processor, 10-year-old processor for this 2018 processor. We're going to be upgrading our NAS box into that case and into the motherboard, and it will be significantly better than what we have going on right now. Now in this old box actually serves a whole bunch of purposes for us in the house. First and foremost, it serves as a file server. Now file server in the capacity of, say, our phones, right? I have an Android and as well as an iPhone, so we are able to back up pictures, videos, and all of our files from our phones automatically onto this server without having to pay extra cloud storage fees to the likes of Google and Apple. So we're able to also take charge and take control of our files and keep it locally, so we don't have to worry about Google and the big tech companies using our data to profile us and doing those ads and whatever things they do, or selling your data and all that kind of stuff. We take charge of that, so we save on cost and then also save on the being able to take charge of our computer. Another function this server does serve is it acts as a media server for us. So all of the TVs in the house all get their content from this box. So this box hosts TV shows, movies, pictures, music, all of those things. We can centrally store all of them here and then have them distributed across all the multimedia devices across the house, and not just limited to the house. We can even watch it from when we're outside of the house as well. So it also serves as that purpose as well. And then it also serves as an FTP server, so a network share. Most of the average video footages we record spans between 60 to 80 gig sometimes per video, right? And it's not feasible to keep storing all this much data on the cloud, because most of these files you don't really get to use it again for a long time, if at all. You're never even going to use it again, but it's you want to hold on to those files because you never know when you're going to need them. So I don't want to be having to pay for something that I'm not using, or would it's going to be costing me money. So it's kind of nice to have the NAS box be able to store all of that locally at I won't say at no cost, because there's also the cost of the electricity to run this thing, as well as the cost of the components and the parts, but it would be at significantly lower cost than having to store all of those things on the cloud as well. Let's go ahead and start tearing out this computer and then moving over the parts over to the new case and the new board. Now we're going to be reusing some of the components from this one, like the NIC card. So that's the network interface card. It's a 4-port network interface card. So basically, instead of the typical 1 port you get on the back of your computer, this one has 5. So I'm going to move that card from this computer and move it as well to this one, because I do something called network aggregation. So instead of the average NIC card running at 1000 megabits per second, with 5, now I can run at 5000 megabits per second. So that definitely gives me a lot of capacity in terms of read and write. So copying things into the server and reading things out of the server will be super fast. So I'm going to be taking that as well, and then I'm also going to be taking all of my hard drives. This server does host I do have about 5 3 terabytes hard drive in there, as well as a host of other NVMe and SSD drives as well in there. So I'm going to be moving all of that from this server into the new one as well. Now luckily for us, the new one comes with the NVMe slot. It comes with a lot of PCIe slots as well. So I'm super excited to get this new computer going. Now that pretty much concludes my migration of my server from the old computer to the new one. It was actually a fantastic experience. I really did enjoy the process. I mean, especially with the fact that I'm using this Fantech Evolve case. This case is just amazing in terms of, you know, having so many paths for cable management, as well as the size, right? This is like a full ATX case, so it makes it easy to actually fit things inside of it. I mean, I was able to get myself 6 of the hard drive, the 6 hard drive cages, right? So be able to give me the capacity of 6 hard drives in there, and I was able to fit it right in there beautifully. I still have additional space on this thing as well. I have one down here for another SSD, and I still have the 2 at the back for the hard drive, and then I still have another 2 for SSD as well. I mean, of course, you can always use them for, instead of hard drive, you can also use it for SSD instead. But yeah, so the way I've partitioned and segmented my the case for my use cases, I have the array, the main array. So this is where all of the main data will get stored. I currently have 5 of them. I'm gonna add 1 more to it to make it take it all the way to 18 terabytes. And then I have 2 at the back for parity. So the parity will basically serve as backup, in the sense that if any of these drives were to fail, I would not lose my data. It will be able to actually calculate the parity and then, you know, recover whatever data was lost on the drive that dies. And having 2 parity makes me, you know, gives me the ability to be able to lose up to, you know, 2 hard drives can die at the same time, and I would not lose my data. It would just use the parity. When I replace the drive, use the parity, calculate, do the calculations, figure out what data was lost, and it will rebuild that data again. Just amazing in that regard. I also plan to get more, you know, SATA drives to be able to get my get a secondary cache going on. Right now I do have 2 cache pools right now. The first one is my NVMe M.2 cache pool with a 1 terabyte 1 terabyte Western Digital NVMe. So that is acting as my primary cache pool right now, but I only have it running, you know, I only allow my Docker containers to actually run off of this pool. I'd like to get a secondary one, which would basically be a bunch of SATA drives, which would be in those slots, right? All the SATA slots would be, so that would be a total of 3 slots. So if I can get 3 additional SATA drives, probably like 1 terabyte each, giving me up to 3 terabytes, then I can use that for my secondary cache pool, which would be the one that would handle all of the, you know, Nextcloud, Plex, FTP, because those are very, very, very data intensive and they tend to overrun the cache pool. So it kind of makes sense to kind of keep it separate, so that way, even if it gets full on that side, it doesn't impact the primary app data cache pool. So I'm gonna, that's the next plan I'm gonna do, an upgrade on this thing. And then eventually I'm probably looking at hoping to be able to get like a GPU for this thing to be able to do hardware transcoding for Plex. I mean, hardware transcoding is probably a much more better way to be able to transcode things like 4K and, you know, this massive you know, high quality file format. But right now this you know, the processor does it just fine for now, so I'll just make do with that until eventually I come across a GPU. Another beautiful thing is the Unraid. Just plugging in the computer and then power it up, and the thing did not even realize that it moved hardware. It just booted up, everything ran fine, no additional configuration needed. It basically is hardware agnostic. It's able to function regardless of whatever components you swap out without the headache of having to reinstall everything again. So I'm kind of impressed with Unraid in that regard, that I'm able to, you know, upgrade components easily without worrying about breakage. But yeah, that's a pretty awesome software. I'm gonna say thank you so much, guys, for joining me today on this my NAS, Unraid NAS upgrade, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.